So I'm going to film you a little postnatal video to do. This is a lot of releasing of tension in the body as well as doing some core work. It's suitable for anybody, so you can do this early on in postpartum. Obviously just make sure you've got the okay from your GP to do any exercise before you start, but essentially this is very easy, gentle stuff, and the rule of thumb is if something hurts, it doesn't feel right, stop, because it probably means that you're doing it incorrectly and you just need to not do that movement. So do what you can, but remember the most important thing above anything else is to breathe and try to relax, because just by releasing tension and relaxing, you're going to feel so much better and you're going to start to get your core muscles working more effectively. So your pelvic floor and your diaphragm are interconnected. So if you breathe and you get your diaphragm moving more, you will get your pelvic floor moving more, and this is healthy. This is what you want to do. Once you get them functioning and moving more, you can start to move even more. So this is very gentle, basic stuff, but it's also to show you that it's not just about lying on the floor and breathing. You can do other movements as well. You can get your body moving. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to stand at the end of my mat, and I'm going to start by taking some big deep breaths, because that's where it all starts from. So take a nice big deep breath for me. Inhale, exhale, relax. As you relax, feel your shoulder blades sliding down and feel that kind of release in your body as you exhale. That release is when the pelvic floor should lift. So the diaphragm is coming in, the pelvic floor is coming up and in at the same time. So take a big breath for me. Inhale, exhale, relax. As you relax, pull up through from the pelvic floor, from the back to the front. That's that stop a fart, stop a wee feeling. Draw those two feelings in together and up inside you, and feel your abdomen coming in at the same time. Do that again. Take a breath. Inhale, exhale, relax, and then lift up through from the back to the front of your pelvic floor and into your belly. Now I'm going to tuck the chin into the chest. I'm going to bend my knees and roll towards the floor. And I'm just going to really relax into this position, letting the head, neck, shoulders go, trying to release tension in my head, release tension in my neck as much as I can. And then you'll take another breath to come back up. So inhale, exhale, and I'm going to stop a fart, stop a wee. So I'm going to engage my pelvic floor as I lift up, and I'm pulling my belly in as I come up, and then rolling my shoulders back. The key when you're doing that is to make sure that you're lifting from your core and you're not lifting from your back. So you're relaxing. This whole upper body is really floppy as you're doing it. So you're using these muscles here and the pelvic floor to lift you, not lifting from your shoulders and your back. So let's take another breath. Do it again. Inhale, exhale, relax. Lift up through from the back to the front of the pelvic floor. Stop a fart, stop a wee. Draw those feelings in together into your abdomen. Then I'm going to tuck the chin into the chest and tuck and roll. I'm going to let my upper body go, and I'm going to bend the knees. I'm going to swing my hips side to side and just release as much tension as I can. Really kind of dropping heavily towards the floor. This is going to give me length in the backs of the legs, but I'm bending my knees so it softens everything. Lets everything release rather than creating any long tension in the muscles. I'm trying to get everything to release and relax. And then lifting the pelvic floor and lifting from the belly as you roll back up, and then roll the shoulders back. Now if you're struggling to feel your pelvic floor as you do that, look through some of the other videos. Look in the YouTube section under pelvic floor to try and get a better explanation of how to use the pelvic floor. There's loads of videos in there that you can follow. Okay, take another breath for me. Inhale, exhale, relax. Lift up through from the pelvic floor into the belly, and then tuck and roll. Again, let your body go. Relax and release as much as you can. And then I'm going to come into an on all fours position. So onto the hands and onto the knees. Now make sure your hands are in line with your shoulders and your knees are in line with your hips. And I'm going to tuck the elbows in because I want to engage the muscles of my back. And imagine you're holding a pencil underneath each armpit, so you're really tucking those shoulder blades in. Now my eye level is above my fingertips. This can put a little bit of stress on your wrists, so you might want to try any of these different positions. So this is what I call sprinter start position, with the fingers spread wide. You can come onto your knuckles like this, or you could just put a cushion underneath your hands. So you could go onto your knuckles with a cushion. I've got a cushion over there, but I'm not using it. But if you've got a cushion in your living room, just go and find it and put it underneath your hands. You can adopt different positions. But we're not going to hold it for too long, but I do want you to try and engage your pelvic floor in this position. So tuck the elbows in, find your pelvic floor and lift up through your center. We're then going to do a real classic Pilates move, which is called thread the needle, but look at how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go back onto my wrist here, but we're going to move with it. I want you to tuck the elbows, or sorry, not tuck, but take the elbows out and form a barrel shape. And imagine you're going to move your body around that barrel shape. Now I'm going to engage my core before I do it. So I'm going to take a breath, inhale, exhale, engage my pelvic floor. My tailbone's stuck out, by the way, just wiggle your bottom. Yeah, and that's where your tailbone should be, slightly lifted. Yeah, and then I'm going to engage my pelvic floor and I'm going to tuck underneath. Now my head is in line with my hands as I go underneath, and my elbows are out, and I'm moving around the same axis point. And this is going to release tension through the center of the back. So you come underneath, look underneath the shoulder. I'm bending my supporting elbow, and then I'm going to lift back up. And I'm going to do it the other way. So just alternate. Doesn't matter which side you're starting on. Elbows out. Think of it like a barrel shape, and you're going. It's like that metal ring around a barrel, and you're going underneath the barrel, and then lifting back up. And then do that again, underneath the barrel. And then lifting back up. Yeah? And then again, underneath the barrel. And then lifting back up. Okay. We're now going to try engaging the pelvic floor whilst doing a press up. Now take my hands a little bit wider because it's going to make it easier. But very importantly, I'm going to draw the shoulder blades down the back of my rib cage. Now look at my abdomen as I do this. I'm going to engage my pelvic floor, lift up through my core muscles, and then I'm going to lower my nose towards the floor and engage the pelvic floor again, and then lift back up. Okay, now you don't need to take a breath on each movement, but if you do, it will help. So take a breath for me, inhale, exhale, lift the pelvic floor, lift your belly in, lower down, keep breathing, and then lift back up. So you can breathe out all the way through and keep re-engaging the core muscles. Keep trying to feel your pelvic floor. When you're down here, your pelvic floor will be absolutely fine as you lift back up because you're gravity assisted. So it's a low pressure exercise on the pelvic floor. So I'll show you again. Take a breath, inhale, exhale, engage the pelvic floor, lower down, find your pelvic floor again as you lift back up. Okay? And if you want, just breathe naturally through that. If you can't think about breathing at the same time, just think about feeling your pelvic floor drawing up inside you as you lift and lower through the press up. I'm now going to come down to the floor, and I'm just going to rest my forehead on my hands here. If your boobs are really full and uncomfortable, you can again put a cushion underneath you here. I haven't got one here, but you can just put a cushion underneath you to release your boobs. Doesn't matter if you're a little bit higher up. And then what I'm going to do, so I'm going to relax here, but you could be here. What I'm then going to do is draw the shoulder blades down, and then I'm going to really engage my pelvic floor. So I'm going to lift up through the pelvic floor, and then I'm going to feel my belly lifting away from the floor and my bottom rib lifting up and away from the floor. And at the same time, I'm drawing my shoulders down and really trying to engage my pelvic floor and lift and lift and lift and lift and lift, and then release it. And then breathe, inhale, exhale, and then lift up and engage the pelvic floor. Draw the shoulder blades down, lift the bottom rib up and away from the floor. Really lift up and then release it. And then I'm going to do that one more time. Inhale, exhale, engage, draw up through the pelvic floor, lift that bottom rib, feel the belly lifting all the way up through the floor, work the shoulder blades down as you're doing it. So there is this working mechanism which is drawing those core muscles up, and it comes from your breath. So I'm going to do that again. Inhale, exhale. As I exhale, I lift the pelvic floor, I feel the belly lifting off, and then I draw the shoulder blades down as the bottom rib cage lifts up and away from the floor, and then draw back down. Now I'm going to do a stretch for the quads. Now what I want you to do is again engage your pelvic floor and push your right hip, whichever leg you've got in your hand, and push that hip down into the floor. And I'm just moving my foot in and out. I'm rotating in my hip as I do this. So don't think of moving your knee joint, think of moving up in your hip joint. If you can't hold onto your foot, grab a band or a towel, put it around your foot and hold onto that instead. And just try to move the foot in and out. Now as you're doing this, find where it's tight. What angle do you need your foot at to find a tight spot? Now when you find that tight spot, take a breath, inhale, exhale, and push your kneecap away at that point, bringing the heel towards your bottom, but your primary focus is to push that hip into the floor and engage your core. And just feel your legs sliding down your mat. And then we'll do it on the other side. So move your foot around. And then again, engage your pelvic floor, lift in through your center and push your kneecap away. push it away, push it away, push it away. And then as you're doing that, you're trying to find points of tightness so you can move your foot around. And I know my left is much tighter than my right, so I'm going to hold this a little bit longer, and you should do the same. If you've got one leg that's tighter, you may find your right's tighter, so if you've already done your right, go back to it now and just find those tight spots. Push your hip into the floor and lift up through your core. And then from here we're going to lift up and pull back and go into a child's pose position. So again, you might want to put a cushion underneath your forehead and just relax and then breathe. And then what I want you to do is really breathe into the back of your rib cage. So you inhale and you exhale and you allow your body to sink into the floor. And keep doing that, and as you're breathing, try to breathe more into the back of your ribs, because what we tend to do is breathe out to the front, and you're trying to get your diaphragm to move more at the back of your rib cage. You're trying to get your diaphragm to function more. We get very tight and restricted hips, particularly postnatally, as we're picking up kids and babies all the time. We tend to get really tight in the thoracic spine. So you want to really breathe into the back of the rib cage. So inhale, breathe, feel it expand as you exhale, let it relax. We're then going to take the arms out front, and we're going to do what I call a puppy dog position. So you're going to extend your arms out in front and draw your weight back and stick your bottom up. And then your forehead's going to go to the floor, and relax your arms down. Your bottom is in the air, and this is a real opener for the pelvic floor. And you're just going to relax in this position. It's also going to help and release tension in that midpoint, that thoracic spine. So we've gone from a rounded position into a more open and lengthened position, that thoracic spine. So we're really focusing on opening out that part of the back that gets a lot of stress postnatally. And just allowing the pelvic floor to open and release and relax. Breathe. And then we're going to go for hip opener. So what I want you to do now is bring your right leg up and underneath you, and then just extend your other leg back. And we're going to do two things. We're going to release the hip here, but also the front of the thigh here. Now we've already done a lot of work on the front of the thigh, but we want to really work on lengthening out the hip flexors right at the top, which we've done a little bit in the quad stretch. We've already done that by pushing the hip into the floor. But what I want you to do now is rotate, push your hip further into the floor. Now you might find a little bit of discomfort in either of your knees, either with one knee on the floor, you can always put a cushion underneath it, or in this knee here. So if you feel that, just lift your body up a little bit, don't put so much pressure on the kneecap. And then you're just going to move and roll from one side to the other, and just trying to release tension. And as you're doing that, now I've already felt my back release as I do that, so it's amazing what this movement can do, because you're rotating through your spine as well. And you're just moving your hips, so you're pushing your bottom to the floor on one side, and then you're pushing the front of your thigh to the floor on the other side, and you're just rolling from one side to the other. And then you can actually just then hold a stretch, angle my knee out a little bit more, and this is called a pigeon stretch in yoga, or sometimes called a stalk stretch, and lower down towards the floor. And again, if your knee doesn't like that, you can come up and out of the position and don't go quite so low, and lift your body up a bit. But ideally, you're dropping to the floor and you're trying to lift your tailbone up. Anything that doesn't feel right, remember, come out of the movement. And then we're going to do it on the other side. So I'm going to bring my knee up and underneath me, walk the other leg back, and then I'm just going to rock from side to side. So I'm going to push into my bottom one side, push the hip into the floor on the other, and just roll one side to the other. Just releasing that tension all the time. Should feel really good. And then I'm going to hold it down. I just realised I need to come forward a little bit because you can't see all of my leg, but it is just straight out behind me. And then drop down and hold a stretch. So there you go, there's a little bit of core engagement, some releasing of tension, really lovely thing to do postnatally. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy it, please do like and subscribe. And obviously you can make comments as well, because any comments you make will help us to make further content that you like. Hope to see you again soon.